to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DiRienzo, and my guest, Christina Gonzalez. Welcome.
Hi, Paul.
And we're going to talk, well, Christina had quite an adventure, as you can see from the sign behind me, and you're going to hear in the next 28 minutes. And I hope some folks call, because that's the number right there on the screen. So 212-757-1538. You'll take, even if you take umbrance with what we're talking about, please call in. If somebody has another point of view, we're always open to that. We do believe in free speech. And one of the things we're talking about is your free speech.
Yes.
Okay, so give us some background. You're involved. I do not consent to this search.
Yes.
I always tell people that that's a very important thing. People should look at that slogan and remember that, because you have a right to say that under the United States Constitution, and you should get used to saying that.
Exactly.
But it's hard when, I was just hearing on NPR today, 177,000 teenagers in New York State who are African and Latino. Yeah, African American and Latino. 140,000 have been stopped and frisked in the last year.
Yeah. I would even say that those numbers are I mean, I know that the stop and frisk numbers are way up in the 700,000s. So we're getting close to 1 million.
Of total people who were stopped in search, of which 90% are African American and Latino.
Exactly. And about 90% of them are actually innocent of doing any crime whatsoever.
And the 10%, most of them, are going down for possession of small amounts of marijuana, which would have been legal.
Exactly, which is legal to have. But they trick you into taking it out of your pockets, the same way in which they trick you into consenting to a search, or, you know, people don't know their rights, and they just allow them to do that, and really all it takes is a simple, no, you can't search me, no, you can't search my car, no, you can't search my house, unless you have a warrant, and get your warrant.
All right, so obviously we've had a few shows. We're going to talk more about stop and frisk, so let's go back to your situation. You were in court with, why were you in court?
I was on court, I believe it was the 11th of May. It was a Friday. I was actually prepared to go to work. I had to attend one of my, several court dates for the Brooklyn case that I have regarding a protest that was done outside of the 73rd Precinct in Brownsville, where 20-something of us were arrested for blocking the entrance of the police station, which actually never was able to happen because of all the barricades that are. So that's actually our second trial regarding stop and frisk. 3 weeks ago, 20 people were convicted of a violation
were you one of those
refusing to move. I was not. I was not arrested at the 28th Precinct in Harlem. I wasn't. I was there, but I wasn't arrested. So Cornel West, Carl Dix.
Cornel West was there, and Carl Dix.
Carl Dix was there.
On the show, Carl was.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We've had everybody now from this movement.
You have to.
Yeah, right. Well, it's one of the more happening movements. That RWS.
Yeah. So there was actually also a professor from John Jay right here up the block. He was there as well. Several reverends, just people from the community, women, men, black, white, Hispanic, just a very diverse group. They were all convicted. So now we're in Brooklyn doing the second case. We actually were all separated.
These were protests related, like sitting down in front of the precinct house steps.
Yes, which we've never got to do. It's all nonviolent, you know.
Before you even got near the place. Boom.
Exactly. We're being arrested right away. So
the plastic cuffs and the whole thing, right?
Exactly. This process is actually pretty quick. Yeah.
The plastic cuffs?
Yeah, if you're able to get them not to put them so tight, which barely ever happens because then it'll be easy to slip out, but they really hurt. Actually, the first time I was ever arrested down at Occupy when they had the mass arrest on September 24th, they put them so small that it was smaller than my wrist.
Where was that?
My arm was numb for days afterwards.
By Union Square, right?
Yes, by Union Square.
Okay, we can talk about that too.
Yes, they can injure you very easily. I mean, my hands were numb for days. So that's what I was there for. I was there in Brooklyn to do that case. It gets adjourned every time, so once a month we're there.
Well, we got somebody calling in, I think.
I don't know if you want to check it out.
Right? I don't know what line they're on. Let's try this. Hello, you're on. Let me see if I can turn you up, caller. You're on. No, I guess not. We lost them.
Oh, too bad.
Oh, too bad.
Maybe they'll try back.
We'll give it another shot. We'll give it another shot later.
So the day went, I'm just going to sum it up. I have a private attorney. He wasn't able to attend. He was working on another case in Manhattan.
Sure.
He sent a memo stating that he wasn't going to be present that day. He told me to step into the courtroom at around 10:30 and ask a court officer had they received the fax. And when I walked up to ask a court officer, which there was only one in the room, they immediately told me to sit down. So I'm like, okay. So I took a seat. Now, I have about an hour and a half before I have to be to work. So I'm getting a little impatient. I stand up again about 8 minutes later, okay, and I walk up to the front, and immediately the judge yells at me, sit down. So I'm like, okay. I go to grab my bag and to walk out. I'm told that I must be removed. So now they
While you were leaving the place?
While I was going to have a seat, I was told to sit down. And, you know, I mumbled something under my breath. I was told to leave. So they sent me outside the courtroom. They said, don't step back in. I said, okay. So about 45 minutes later, after my co-defendants had all been seen, a few of them stick their head out and say, Christina, they're calling you. So I go to step back inside. I let another woman walk out who was crying. So I let her go first. And as I stepped into the room, I got screamed at again. I said, get out. So I was like, I don't understand. I was being courteous and letting this woman walk out. And now you're mad because I didn't get here fast enough. Right. And as that happened, he said, cuff her. So now they start putting handcuffs on me. And it was at that moment that I screamed to my friends, someone call my job. This racist pig is arresting me.
Hello? You're on the air?
Oh.
I guess not. Hang on. You're on? Hello? Speak up, please. I guess not.
Maybe we have some shy folks.
Yeah, I guess so. All right.
So yeah, it was it was at that moment that I yelled out to my friends, my comrades, you know, someone call my job. This racist pig is arresting me. So I was literally dragged to the back. Another gentleman behind me was then arrested, detained.
Now, let's go back to that. You said what? This
racist pig is arresting me. Yes.
As you're going out, and then what immediately happened after that?
And I was continued to be dragged down the aisle to the back of the courtroom.
Hello? Oh, I guess are we getting on? Hello? Okay, are you calling the station? Okay, hang on. We're going to try and get you on here. I don't know what the problem is. Sorry. Hello, you on now? Are you on? Somebody wants to join us, but we can't hear them. I'm sorry.
Technical difficulties.
No, I guess we lost.
Oh. But it's working now.
Yeah, it's working. So just don't get them. All right, sorry. There's an 8-second delay. Remember that. So don't watch the TV while you're trying to talk to us. All right, try again. Okay, so all right. So you said to the judge. Oh, you didn't say it directly.
I didn't say directly to him, but I shouted it loud enough so everyone in the courtroom could hear. I said, "This racist pig is arresting me. Someone inform my employers."
All right, now. What did the judge
I was
say?
expected to be there.
We're going to talk about who this judge is in a minute, but tell me what was the judge's reaction at that point?
Honestly, I don't remember. I was just hearing quite a bit of commotion. I remember the faces of my friends because they just looked really shocked. Yeah. You know, the judge was probably furious, you know, and said, "Get her back there quicker," or something along those lines. But honestly, it was so confusing at that time.
Yes.
That I don't remember exactly what he said.
All right, we're going to try it again. Here we go. Maybe this will work. I don't know. Hello? Yes. Wait a second. Yeah, okay, great. We can hear you now. Speak up. Thank you. You have a question? Do you have a question? Hang on. Let me turn it up a little bit. I'm really sorry, we're just not getting the call, so we're going to have to pass on the call. So it's just a technical glitch right now, so I'm sorry about that. But you could try. I'll try and keep it up. If we get it to work, you know, we'll do it. So
there you go.
There was commotion going on, and then what happened?
And so, like I said, there was another gentleman who was detained right behind me, apparently for recording the incident that was happening. Sure. He was eventually released after, you know, I had to be screaming, "Let him go, let him go." I called my employer because I still had my phone, but my lawyer was still never there. And there's actually some legal aid attorneys who were there for my other co-defendants, and they decided to come back and help me with the situation. So she's, you know, this woman stated, the judge is going to hold you in contempt of court. You can face 15 days in jail. Now he's willing to let you go if you apologize for what you said.
Okay.
I said I was already being detained before I said that. And no, I will not apologize.
Okay.
And that's when I was brought in front of the judge, and he told me that I had disrespected the court by calling it a racist pig, and that I should apologize for what I said. And I proceeded to tell him that I feel disrespected by the court, and that I will not apologize.
Yeah.
And he gave me a second chance, and then he gave me a third, and I said, you could give me 20. I will not apologize for saying something that I believe. And he sentenced me to 10 days
Did
in
they
Rikers
take you away
Island.
right there?
Right away. I mean, when I went back in front of the judge, I was actually in handcuffs.
Okay.
And then they put you in like a special little box, not where all the other defendants stand. Now you're here, I guess, because you're in custody.
Okay.
So I stood there, and then they just brought me back and put me in a cell, took all my property from me, and began the processing.
And they took you to Rikers Island?
And they took me directly, well, not directly. I stayed in the courthouse for a few hours, and then they put you on a bus, and they drive you to Rikers Island.
And you were there for 10 days?
I was there for 7 days. I was there from Friday until the next Thursday, because for some reason you only serve a portion of the time, which was good for me, I guess.
Right. Now, so you don't have a chance. See, that's because you're convicted and you're charged and convicted right then and there.
The judge, you know, he accuses me. I'm being charged. I'm convicted. I'm sentenced. Everything, all in one breath from one man. No judge, no jury. I mean, no jury. You know, whoever's there. My family wasn't able to be there. I mean, it's just in a matter of seconds. And I never had my lawyer present while that was happening.
Wow.
So.
Wow, people are calling like crazy. I wish I could get them here. All right, but I don't think we can do it. There's a problem here, so I'm going to have to detach this. I'm
yeah,
sorry, guys.
that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I feel bad that we can't answer the call.
I don't know why this phone is ringing instead of the.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's. Okay, one. Okay. Oh, caller one. Let's pick up. Okay. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Your question, please.
All right. It's not a question. It's just something that happened to me. Oh.
There's an 8-second delay, so don't listen to the TV. Turn the TV down and just speak out.
Yeah, it's just something that happened to me also. Like, I went to my friend's house, and I used his Metro card like the day before, and I gave him back his Metro card because he was sleeping, and I just threw it under the door and came right out the building. And then the cops arrested me, and as they put him in the car, one racist, one white officer, and what do you high? Like all black people get high. You understand what I'm saying? And, like, this is. And
Remember to turn your TV down because there is a delay on the television between what. So just talk on the phone. We can't hear. That was a thank you for that. We can't really hear you anymore. It's breaking up, but actually that was an excellent comment.
Yeah, it was.
And it's interesting that it comes right as soon as I turn on the phones.
Yeah.
Boom.
No, it's interesting because I actually spent one day there with a young girl, 19 years old, and she was actually stopped for swiping someone else's Metro card. Maybe it was like a school pass or something.
Right.
She was actually stopped and detained, and because she had not completed community service from something minor before, they decided to arrest her and sentence her to 3 days in Rikers Island. So by the time you get there and everything's happening, and then you only serve a portion of that time, she was there for 1 day. So she had to go through this whole 12-hour process, come upstairs, she slept, spent a little bit of the day there, and then the next day she's sent out. And that's another like 10-hour process, you know, sitting in a cell just waiting.
Yeah.
You're right here, the door to be released is right there, and you sit there for 10 hours.
Well, that,
waiting for
to me, that's
paperwork.
the next movement, after Stop and Frisk, is using 1 and 2 day jail sentences.
Oh, yes.
To punish. It's like summary punishment that police do. They just know that this will never fly in a court, but they can put you through the system.
Exactly.
And the charges will be dropped or ACD'd, and that'll be the end of it.
Exactly.
And then, of course, you have ACDs, which are supposedly 6 months. But people, if they don't realize if they get arrested for anything else, even minor thing, they could wind up doing more time in jail than they would have done the other
Exactly, which is a critical reason why we don't, or I don't, accept an ACD. First of all, that's admitting guilt. Second of all, it's a trap, because now you can't get in any more trouble in 6 months, and knowing that I'm doing a lot of political work, I'm doing a lot of activism, civil disobedience, I'm going to get in trouble, whether intentional or unintentional.
Well, Christina Gonzalez is joining us here on Let Them Talk. Fascinating story and a great guest. Christina, tell us a little bit about what's on the wall behind us. What is this? What is it? NYPD, get your hands off.
Get your hands off me. Okay. This I love. This is actually spray paint on the side of City Hall. This is what a man named Bobby Constantino, he actually spray painted this on City Hall. This is a slender, tall, white, clean-shaven man in a suit. As far as I know, he's been a defense attorney, he's been a prosecutor, he's worked in several other places, and he's known that this is bad for a long time, and he's been working within the system to try to change it, like everyone has given him advice to do. And he's seen that it's not working, and he's decided to take activism into his own hands. So he heard about the trial that was going on in Manhattan. He decided to attend. That's where I met him. He told me about what he's been doing around City Hall, that he can't get arrested down there. The cops have passed him by, seen him with the spray paint material and everything, completely passed him by. He dropped off a letter to City Hall directed at Mayor Bloomberg, which was eventually accepted by them. And when the verdict was read on that Friday for the trial in Manhattan, of telling everyone that they're guilty, he put his hands behind his head and said, "I will not leave this courtroom until changes are made to stop and frisk." They still wouldn't arrest him in the courtroom either, but eventually he was arrested and linked to what he spray painted here, and he spent 3 days in Rikers Island, and then in Central Bookings, and then after coming home from Central, it's worse in Central Bookings. That's what I'm saying. I've done that several times.
Bologna sandwiches.
Oh yeah, Rikers Island was like,
changed in 30 years.
Yeah, Rikers Island was way better compared to Central Bookings. But so he spent 3 days in Central Bookings, and then when he came out, he actually went on a hunger strike and circled City Hall for 3 days with a sign that said, "March with me to stop and frisk," or something along those lines. And it was on that third day that the mayor started talking about reform that's going to be done. So he actually wrote a blog. He has a blog, and he wrote something dedicated to me. And he had a friend design a T-shirt that we plan on wearing to the courthouse on June 15th.
June 15th?
June 15th is our adjournment date, so there are going to be several of us who have to attend Brooklyn Court again. We'll be standing in front of the same Judge Wilson.
Before the racist judge, I should say. Are you now you're the one who's now prejudiced, right?
Yeah, now I'm prejudiced against him, exactly.
Right, in the sense of that now he already knows you already know he doesn't like you, so what chance do you have of justice now?
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. Well, we would love to see him not on our case, because...
Let's say who this judge is. Tell
okay,
name.
So his name is Judge John Wilson.
Okay, now, he's just not just a judge, all right? We're not slagging him just because he's a judge. No, I have friends who are judges. My good friend who has the show before ours is a judge. Right. That's not a problem.
No.
The problem is the book, the children's book. I'm an elementary school teacher. The children's book he is trying to foist upon our youth.
Yes.
What was the children's book? It's called Hot House Flowers.
Hot House Flowers, right? And it's about a greenhouse that has dandelions in it, which are considered weeds, and those dandelions suck up all the nutrients and all the water from all of the other beautiful flowers. And he's using that as a metaphor or as an analogy to describe the way in which immigrants come to this country and suck up all the resources that Americans are entitled to.
And what the farmer comes into the greenhouse, and what does he do? Well, I thought it was interesting. I read half the flowers support the right of the outside flowers to come in and grow with them, and against the other half, who are the more sensible ones.
Right.
And then finally, farmer comes in, and it turns out that all these new flowers are actually weeds.
Right.
And he rips up the weeds.
Rips them out.
And he says, "See, I'm your protector."
Exactly. It's really sick what he wrote. It's really, really sick.
And
it's
this
just
is in a children's book.
a children's book. So, and he does it in this, cute little way. And, he's trying to indoctrinate children into thinking that, immigrants should not be here, and that immigrants are actually taking, away things that Americans have. And then, he tries to distinguish in some interviews that he had later, well, he's not talking about legal immigrants, he's talking about illegal immigrants. I mean, and now that's opening up a whole new topic. But the fact of him writing this book shows that he obviously has prejudices against people of color, people who are not American. I mean, I'm a family of immigrants.
We're chief lawyer for the Conservative Party of New
Yes.
York, and former assistant prosecutor in the Bronx.
He was in the Bronx, exactly, exactly. And now he's here in Brooklyn, and he's residing over a case that has to do with illegal immigrants and black and brown people. I mean, it's completely prejudiced, and it's shocking to me that he would be allowed to sit and preside over this case. And whether it was unintentional, my actions in court that day, it was something that just happened, but I'm glad that it did, because now it can bring light to this man and what he's really all about, And I think that we should bring him under great scrutiny, and now we can bring Judge Wilson on trial, and discuss what his agenda is and what he's all about, and who appointed him, and who appointed him to this case.
Well, a racist pig, it's an unfortunate term, but a very descriptive one.
Yes.
The term pig goes back to the book Animal Farm.
Right.
And, the pigs being the leaders who used their position to enrich themselves and empower themselves, and were constantly involved in their own bitter internal disputes and fighting. So,
which I actually just read thoroughly recently. You read it when you're a kid, and you don't really understand. And now I've read it, twice in the past year or so, and I'm just astonished at how.
My fifth grade class in the Bronx, we read it. It was great.
I mean, when you're a kid, you don't understand. I think I read it in like the 7th grade. I wasn't making sense of it, and now I hear it, and I'm like, how they change the rules on the wall, and then the other animals don't know how to read and write, so they're just able to be easily fooled, and I'm just like, oh, I never realized that you're saying that that's what's going on out here now, which goes back to what I said. If we don't know our rights, that's how we get taken advantage of, and they don't like to see people who know their rights,
So the term pig is not meant in the term of like, fat and dirty and living in a pigsty and all that. No, it refers to the book, a specific story, specific use of the animal pig. It could have been a different animal, but they chose pig, the smartest of the family. They chose, he chose the pig, and it's the smartest of the farm animals, and very close genetically to humans. So next time you have a pork chop, remember that. You're something that's genetically close to you. Okay, now
I want to also talk about.
Tell us, you're doing great here. So tell us more about what's coming up.
What's coming up is we have that trial. The court date, and then there will be a trial after that. We also have some Queens cases, but I have about 8 cases going on right now, so it's really hard for me to
You're an activist.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, how did you get into? Why did you get into all this activism?
I mean, I've known for a while that things are pretty crazy. And when Occupy Wall Street started, it was a way for me to fully immerse myself in learning about what's going on and doing something about it in unique and creative ways. And that's what Occupy was to me. I was there on the 2nd day, and I continue to be involved. I'm not as involved as deeply as I was then, but I'm still loosely affiliated, I would say. I just got more involved with the Stop And Frisk campaign.
So you were there when they had the first arrest, when people were marching up University Avenue towards Union Square Park, and the cop spray painted everybody, Bologna.
Yeah. I was actually arrested on that day. I got arrested right before that all happened. And it was only later that I learned I knew some of the girls who it happened to, and some of the people who were in the
photograph of them being sitting there, surrounded, really sitting on the ground, surrounded by the orange netting. They could not leave.
And couldn't leave.
And then they
got spray painted.
Which seems so similar to what happened to you, because you were in a situation where you were trying to leave. You were sort of by the crowd at the door, forced to step back in for a minute before you walked out, and that was used. You were trapped.
It's so arbitrary.
Yeah.
How they can just make a law count, and then sometimes it doesn't count. So you know, it's up to that
10 days,
person.
7
Yeah,
days.
it's just too much discretion in an individual's hands, and if they have any type of bias towards you, well, they're going to use that.
Couple more minutes. What would you replace this system with? How can we change this? How can we change this racist pig type of stuff?
I mean, I think that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
But
we only got 2 minutes left, so obviously.
I'm thinking that people need to start changing themselves, and whether you're going to do one small thing, whether it be write a message, you know, on a piece of paper and give it to someone on the train, or post it on the train, or whether you come to a large protest, or whether you just change the products that you use in your hair. Like, any little difference that you're doing is going to affect somebody else, whether you realize it or not. And I think that's the key, that everybody has to do their little bit, you know.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to do right now.
What's happening? Go ahead.
No, and it's connecting me to other people, and then I see that other people are affected by what I'm doing, and it makes me want to do it more, and I think that it's really happening. And Occupy, first they were occupying a park, now they're really occupying people's minds, you know? It's occupying people's homes. This is an idea, this is a movement that has started, and just because people don't see us in a park or in one location, it's because we're spread out. It's because people are thinking right now. And everybody who's not with it yet, they don't really get it yet, when things are getting, because things are only getting worse right now. As they get worse, people are going to remember, oh, what was that thing? Oh, Occupy? Yeah, I got to get involved with that. And that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
I see it.
All right. And so what's coming up next, last minute or so? What's happening? Your court, another court hearing, of course.
Yeah, June 15th. I would love people to be there. It would really, be amazing. Right? Brooklyn Criminal Court. That's I believe it's 120 Skimmerhorn, and you can show up. I think it's going to be AP5, but you can find it just by coming in the building and asking around a little. It's going to be on the 6th floor somewhere.
Is there a website or something where people can get more information?
Yes, it's Stop Mass Incarceration. You can email stopmassincarceration@gmail.com, and it's also Stop And Frisk NYC@gmail.com.
Okay.
I believe there are so many emails right now.
So
it's like,
just type in Stop and Frisk New York, and you'll get.
And it's going to come up. You'll get a Tumblr, you'll get a YouTube page, you're going to get a Facebook page or something like that. But it's pretty easy to find.
Great
yeah.
Internet. All right, great.
Definitely.
30 seconds. Any last messages for the judge, maybe in this case, or anybody else?
Oh, I mean, I hope that he would, snap into reality and realize that, immigrants are actually doing a great thing for this country, whether illegal or legal, and that we are all immigrants. In fact, probably his own ancestors were the illegal immigrants who came here. So he should really think about that twice, before
Christina Gonzalez, thank you so much for joining us on Let Them Talk.
Thank you so much, Paul, for having me.
All right.